You can start now.
Okay, so it will be unprepared, just like easy tongue.
No problem.
So tell us what happened to you, what sort of competition you won and why?
So it was the European Universities Debating Championship. It's the second biggest competition in the world, the biggest one in Europe obviously. The biggest competition in the world is the World's University Debating Championship. So this one was held in Zagreb in Croatia. It's an annual competition, it's held every year. It has about 220 teams from all over Europe, most of European countries. It's in English. It has a lot of teams who come from UK and Ireland, so teams which speak English as a native language, and has a lot of other teams who come from non-native English backgrounds, including us. So we competed in the category of English as a second language, and in the end it was a long tournament. It lasted for a week. It was in August, but we finally managed to win. It's been our second. It's been the second competition for me personally, but I think it was the seventh for the University of Belgrade. So we won in front of the University of Belgrade. So I'm very happy about it.
Great. So if you say we, you mean the team?
Yes. So I need to clarify. So the format is British parliamentary debate. It's a debate is made out of 4 teams, 2 which stand for a motion that's given to them, 2 that stand against the motion, and every team is made out of 2 speakers. So it was me and another wonderful person called Helena Ivanov who spoke with me at that tournament, and we won together as a team.
What was the topic you discussed?
So we had 9 preliminary rounds, and then we had quarterfinals, semifinals and finals. Every topic was different. However, the finals topic was, assuming that the technology existed, this house would remove the ability of soldiers to experience fear. This house is a format that's usually given in the British Parliament. So the House of Commons, so when a motion is titled "This House," that means that we should or we should not. In this case, we were arguing whether it would be good to remove the ability of soldiers to experience fear. We were against that. We gave several reasonably good arguments, and in the end we won the debate.
And what were the preparations you took for this debate? What were another maybe debates you participate in before?
So it's a continuous process. The organization we're part of, which is called Open Communication, organizes debate workshops during the whole year. So we're supposed to start our lectures in October and they last until May. So we have regular workshops 1 to 2 times a week where we discuss different topics. We also have practice debates. We also go to a lot of international tournaments, so there are a lot of preparationary tournaments. For that we went to tournaments in France, in Bulgaria, in Romania, in Hungary, in Austria, and probably somewhere else, where a country I can't think of right now. And we also have to read very much about a variety of different topics. So we have to, because we get the topic we will debate, we don't get it in advance, we get it only 15 minutes before the debate starts. So we have to have a good basis of knowledge in a variety of different areas, be that security, economy, international relations, politics, feminism, animal rights, whatever you can think of, it can be debated.
You also took a part, and you are still taking part in the debate carried out by MESA 10 between the Slovakia and Serbia. Can you tell us what impact or knowledge this debate gave you, or what kind of skills you gained in this one?
Well, it's certainly different than the format I usually compete in, because we know the topic we will talk about in advance, but there are also a lot of, let's say, people who are experts in that area. So it would be really we would really be ashamed to show up unprepared. So we do a lot of research with regards to the topic at hand, be that it's usually something related to NATO or to international security or to international relations in Europe. So it gave me a lot of knowledge and a lot of understanding, especially on the Ukraine crisis. Also on the topic of NATO enlargement, I researched it earlier with regards to Serbia, but when preparing for this debate, I researched the idea of NATO enlargement on a more broader scale, so more from a perspective of NATO rather than from the perspective of individual states, which may or may not strive to join the alliance.
Do you think you can ever use this knowledge which you gained by this debate in either your life or next studies?
Certainly. I think it's knowledge which is useful in a lot of areas. First and foremost, the very fact that I'm used to speaking in public very often means that I feel less of a problem every next time I have to speak in public. So now I wouldn't have a problem to go and speak in front of 500 people or 1,000 people, even though I don't precisely know what I will talk about. So you can tell me, talk about how this room is great, and you have 3 minutes to prepare for that. You will talk in front of 1,000 people. I wouldn't have too much of a problem with that. The second big benefit I gain from it is that I can make my thoughts much more clear and much more concise. So I know what I'm going to say to you from the beginning of the first part of what I talked about just previously. So I exactly know how I will structure my speech and the way in which I will present it, which is incredibly useful no matter what sphere I decide to, what sphere I end up in professionally tomorrow. Whatever area I can end up with, the skills I gain through public speaking and the ability to make my thoughts concise and clear to others is incredibly useful.
Mm-hmm. And maybe final questions. You visited also Bratislava as a part of this project of the debates. What your impressions were of being there, of spending time in the time, and also with the discussions with your peers maybe there?
Well, I had the fortune to travel a lot before this. I never had the opportunity to go to Slovakia, except when I was passing through. So it was an incredibly useful experience to me. I think that Bratislava is a wonderful city. In a lot of aspects, this reminds me of Belgrade, you know, the city which is on the border of the East and West, and you can see an Eastern and Western influence there the same way as you can here. But it was also incredibly interesting to me to hear the opinions of Slovak students on a variety of different topics. And considering we're quite close and that both countries are relatively small and are not huge, while they may be regional actors, are not huge global or European actors, it was very interesting to me to hear their impressions, and especially their impressions on EU membership, considering that Slovakia has been in the EU for more than a decade at this moment, how that worked out for them. I think that was incredibly useful for us as a EU candidate state and as a potential NATO member for how life will look for us in the future, say in 5 to 10 years, which will presumably, because at that moment, will presumably be EU and or NATO members.